welcome to episode 2 of Oh Yes It Is, the show where I take my mates from the world of entertainment and ask them about their life, how they got in it, and where they're going. In today's episode, I may not have known this man too long, but he's one of my closest friends. I absolutely love this man to pieces. It's musician Mr. Nick Browne. Hello, mate. How are you?
Hello, George. You all right, buddy?
I'm not too bad, thanks yourself.
Yes, going okay. Going okay.
You are the first person I've had on this from the Panto family.
Oh, exciting.
Yes,
I feel very privileged.
so you fucking should be.
Well, you know it. You know it.
Yeah. So obviously I said that you're a musician, you play the saxophone, but where did it all start for you and how did you first get into it?
God, it goes a long way back. I started playing music when I was in primary school. Um, Believe it or not, I started playing violin. And I did, yeah, I know. I did that for 2 years, and got absolutely sick to death of it. So, it turned out at the time, my cousin, who was at the same school, played saxophone. So I was like, that's pretty cool. I'll give that a go. So went round to my uh, auntie's house, auntie and uncle's house, and tried it, and it just clicked. And it was like, right, that's it. Off I go. Um, and I suppose much of the rest is history. But yeah, that was kind of where it all started, and it was just the usual path through school of just playing and having lessons and stuff. But I was quite lucky, I suppose, to be at a couple of schools that were really sort of had really strong music departments. So it really gave you the pathway to do it and sort of um, have an end product to what you're doing. There's so many cases nowadays where people start playing an instrument and then they don't have an outlet for it. You just sat at home and
Yeah.
you're just playing, and it's a bit like, what's the point? But yeah, after I went to a secondary school, well, which was a grammar school, so there was quite strong input into the music side, and there was a lot of I got to give them a lot of credit for sort of the opportunities that I had to join bands and big bands and play all sorts of different music. So that was kind of where it started. Um, pretty pretty normal, I suppose. But weirdly, I will say though, I did almost completely give up playing at one point. I know it sounds weird now, but it was I was a teenager at the time, and it was a point where I was kind of like, oh, what, it's not really that cool, and oh God, what am I actually playing? Um, and on the cusp of that, I then started having lessons with um, a local chap, a chap called Vaughan Hawthorne Nelson, who was sort of.
What a name.
I know it's a phenomenal name. It's one of the great. It's such a great name for a jazz. But he well still is as well a jazz saxophonist. And he it was all a bit of a maybe a meant to be moment because he had literally put like his last advert out that he was going to do to take on students and was being really selective about who he was taking on. And I went over. My dad took me over to his house in Broadstairs, and it was sort of from the intro session, there was something there, and he introduced me to jazz and gave me Charlie Parker CDs and stuff like that. So I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is it. Um, it's kind of the thing that you want to do. So sometimes it's just that little spark that
You just
makes you
need that
suddenly
one
go,
person, don't you?
that one person who sees it in you and also just
100%.
presents you with the right stuff at the right time. So, like, I just needed to hear that music and know sort of what I kind of knew what jazz was and I played a little bit of jazz, but to then hear it done like super properly, it was like, okay, right, that's me. And sort of yeah, went from there and ended up going to university and studying jazz at Leeds College of Music, and met some really cool people who were doing some amazing stuff on the music scene in this country, let alone just the jazz scene. Um, and then yeah, sort of came back here and living my life, doing bits and bobs. Um, yeah, I suppose I've been a professional musician for a good portion of that. I did take some time out and worked a normal job. for
Whatever that is.
idea, whatever that is. Let's say a customer services job, and then some for it was about 7 years. Um, but a lot of that was due to sort of personal reasons and stuff. So, but I've come back out this year. Well, April last year, back to full time, and then managed to stumble into the panto in
I
December,
wonder who
which
you
was
met there.
so there are some real weirdos, just a bunch of absolute lunatics all thrust together in one theatre. And it was one of the greatest experiences of my life. It
We will.
honestly
There
was.
is a question which we will come back to the panto, no doubt. But what was
Yeah.
that first gig like? That first professional gig you had as a saxophone player like?
That was I have a very vague memory of it, but that first one, the first full gig I actually did was I was probably only 16 and it was kind of a half and half gig with Vaughan, who was my teacher at the time, but he gave me that opportunity to actually go and do a proper gig set with other really high class jazz musicians, and that was terrifying. But it it was also it just kind of paves that way for you to realize that that's what you want to do, and it was kind of a weird shock because I would say I'm still introverted, but I'm not sure that's the case
No, you're
anymore.
not. I know you.
No, I know. I'm definitely not. But you wouldn't honestly. A few years ago, and when I was young, a lot younger as well, it was a lot more sort of introverted and stuff. So ending up being on essentially on stage performing and doing something as personal, particularly as playing, well, jazz or music, let alone jazz, is not something that I would have thought would have been like capable of, as it were. But
Yeah,
that sort of that first one and that opportunity, you're just like, oh my God, this is amazing, and
I know that
everyone's
feeling. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. It must be the same across sort of most field. When you get that first taste and that first opportunity, you're like, I want more, I must do more. But yeah,
yeah,
no, it was incredible, and it's just and since then, like just different opportunities to do different things, and played some incredible places with different bands, and met loads of really cool people, and it's just great.
yeah. But like, I suppose at one point over that gig, over the all gigs you've done, it must have gone wrong for you at some point. So when has it ever gone wrong for you?
Uh, I don't know. I suppose a few times it's never anything that's gone sort of really horrifically wrong, I suppose, in terms of an actual like when you're on a gig and things have gone really
There's been
awfully.
no gig where like the whole sound system's gone down or anything.
Oh, well, there was this one time, but we'll get onto that, I'm sure. I mean, there's been lots, you get lots of little issues as a gig musician.
Yeah,
I think one of my a lot of the times, thankfully, it hasn't directly affected me so much, if that makes sense. But
yeah.
we've had the worst thing, and the thing I'll put down as the most common thing that is a problem and goes wrong is when you're doing a gig where there's a sound limiter. Um,
Okay,
so it's basically in these venues that they've set up, and because of local restrictions, they're not allowed to have the sound over a certain
got you.
decibel
Yeah.
level. And you have these little like meter bars that you can see from the stage. And if it stays in the red for too long, it cuts the power.
Okay. Helpful.
However, that is not great when there was a band that I played with that's unfortunately no longer going called Goosebumps. It was sort of jump jive jazz swing thing. And it was a lot of sort of older equipment and well, I say older equipment, but the guitarist on one particular gig, his valve amp that he used, the sound limiter kicked in and it blew the valves in his amp.
Shit.
Yeah. So that was and then, and we had another gig the next day as well. And it
Oh
was just,
no.
yeah. So trying to get that all replaced. But that is proper, like, that's
Yeah,
fairly substantial damage to something. And
of course.
yeah, I think the only other one like that I'd say for me is we did a military one, a few years ago. And some guy was walking across along near the front of the stage, obviously a little bit drunk, I think, but basically knocked one of my saxes off its stand,
Oh no.
and it bent one of the bottom keys. But literally, as he walked past, he went, "Oh, it wasn't me," and I was like, "Mate, I've literally just seen you do it." But it was, luckily, I sort of managed to do a quick fix and then took it home. But again, that was a bit of cost to fix. But
That's take some drunk cockiness to just to do that. Just
yeah,
to
I
like go,
know.
no, not my fault.
No, it wasn't me. I clearly wasn't on the stand properly. And to be
Yeah,
fair, that was the very last time I ever put my saxes at the front of a
I
stage.
don't blame you.
It's just never happened again. But
Yeah,
yeah, nothing catastrophic, I suppose.
yet.
Yet. Um, we've had gigs that have either been pulled last minute or you've
Of
got
course.
there and then things change. I mean, crikey, we were flown all the way out to the Seychelles to do a gig and then didn't play,
Ah, okay. Yeah.
which was hilarious. I mean, we still got quite substantially compensated for it, let's
Well,
say.
that's the main thing.
Yeah, but yeah, it was one of those opportunities. Apparently, I think it was for the King of Saudi Arabia, which was
As
mental,
you do.
as you do.
In the
But
Seychelles.
yeah, yeah, in a hotel.
Yeah.
I think he kind of owned the hotel, but
That sounds
basically,
like one of those weird emails that you'd get going, I swear I'm him, I swear.
it's a Nigerian scam. That's what it was all
Yeah.
the way. But yeah, it was crazy. It's like, to cut a long story short, I suppose, they'd even got a fairly famous South African singer lady to come out and sing with us because we didn't normally have a female singer. And yeah, we were out there and we were at the hotels, um, and it kept on getting later and later, but they had everything. They had a
Yeah.
fashion show from Italy, there was a Russian pole dancer,
Oh
there
wow.
was a French strip act. It was loads of stuff. But we literally, about 3 o'clock in the morning, the time we got round to us, we were ready behind the curtain on the stage, ready to go. And basically, the MC or the guy that had sort of organised it all was like, "Oh no, don't worry, guys. We don't, we don't need you. He's gone." And it was like, "Oh, okay, all right. Well, what do you mean he's gone?" He said, "Oh, well, he's picked his women and he's gone."
It's pigs in women.
Yeah. So they'd put like some requested like music on some specific stuff that the DJ played, some kind of Middle Eastern hip hoppy kind of stuff. And then it drifted into the end of the night disco stuff, a bit Tom Jones and a bit of
Yeah.
Andy Williams, that kind of stuff. And we were like, okay, what's going on? And then yeah, he came around and he's like, oh no, okay, don't need you.
It's fucking
He's taken his women back to his room and he's
taking
done.
it
And you're like,
and you didn't get picked.
no, I know, unbelievable. I mean, and I was skinnier back then as well, so just I was devastated.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, we'll go on to the opposite, which I think we're going to be spending a lot of time talking about. What's the best gig you've ever done or best job?
Oh, that is super tough. It depends on a lot of things. I don't know if I have like one best because there's so much depends on different factors. Like I think one of my favorite gigs I ever did was when I was still at university and we put together, or I put together, a band that was essentially a tribute to Cannibal Adderley, who's one of the great sort of alto saxophone players ever. And it was me and quite a lot of the guys that I was friendly with at college. And we had a gig at a place called Cellar Bar in Leeds, which is like a proper, you go down into it, and it was a proper
Yeah.
like club. And it was a mix of sort of, there were a lot of people there to start with that were like, oh God, what's on? A bit, it's going to be jazz, it's going to be rubbish. And then there were also loads of other students from our year and other years that came down to watch it because it's quite well known stuff. If you're a jazz
Yeah.
person, you know that music. So, but we played, and basically there were a few times where between a lot of us on stage, we were sort of quoting sections of the original solos and stuff, and just the reaction
Oh,
that we
nice.
got from like the guys that we studied with, you'd start a quote and literally the whole place erupted and cheer, and you're just like, way! And yeah, one of the guys was like, we did one of the tunes, and one of our other mates, one of our flatmates, had gone to the loo at the time, which was upstairs, and he was like, as soon as that happened, he said, "Yeah, literally the floor was shaking when you
Oh wow.
when you quoted that little bit." And it was just it's that reaction when you get that
Oh
feedback
yeah.
from the crowd. I mean, obviously, that's similar in your industry as well, isn't it? You get that
Yeah.
if you get that vibe back from people and they're really digging it, and on top of that there were a lot of, let's say, normal people who stayed
Yeah.
because it was good. So so it ticked a lot of boxes, and that kind of feeling and that energy has been very difficult to replicate since.
Oh, those gigs that go way better than you imagine. You can't describe it, can you?
Yeah, exactly. You go and play somewhere and, turn up at a social club or something like this,
Yeah.
or just some weird venue, and they're all giving you a bit of side eye thinking, God, who are you and what is this? And then you'll start playing and suddenly everybody loves it, and it's one of those things that is so difficult to call. I mean, there's some places where you go and you immediately like, okay, this is going to be a bit of a duff one.
Oh yeah.
But then other times it is really surprising. But yeah, I think I'd say musically that's up there. Um, there's probably bucket list kind of stuff. Was I was lucky enough to play at Ronnie Scott's jazz club with a band a few years ago, which is quite a sort of a big thing for in the jazz community. I mean, a lot of people do, but for me, it's like one of those things that you aspire to in
Yeah.
this country. Ronnie Scott's is kind of like the top jazz club in the country.
Oh wow.
So that was really cool.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, apart from that, it's more sometimes you could have a really awful gig, but you can have a really good day. Because like
Oh yeah.
we do a lot of traveling with a few of the bands that are doing weddings and parties and stuff all over the country. Um, and you can have a real duffer of a gig, but if as a band we have a big massive laugh together or something will
Oh,
happen, then
that's the moment. Yeah.
that just absolutely makes the day. I mean, it's a little bit like, the whole sort of panto run. I know we'll come on to that, but that is
We can come
still,
on to it now. I don't mind.
yeah, it was that was definitely up there for me as well, just as an experience. I mean, as a from a performing aspect, obviously I was in a corridor with my headphones on, looking at Chris Wong, the MD, through a screen and watching the show through a screen. But just the just the rest of it, sort of the people and
Oh yeah, the
the
people.
vibe. Yeah, I mean, the shows were just that was just like what that was just work in the end of the day.
Yeah.
But sort of everything else and you just didn't know what was
Apart from
going to
when the
happen
shows went
each
wrong.
day. Well, apart from when the shows went wrong, then it was just funny. But apart from a couple of times, but yeah, and just I mean it was my first professional show, so like being
Yeah.
involved with that kind of group of people, and I'd done a couple of Amjam things before, but it was like 2 or 3 day run, but to then jump to 82 shows across
You're
six to
mental.
7 weeks, and it's like, oh my God. But yeah, it's just that vibe, and it's the people that make that, and it is the
Oh,
same.
easily.
It's the same in across all of that kind of industry. Like I say, that gig, um, that gig that sticks with me. It was about the crowd
Yeah.
and my other bandmates that made that. I could go and have a gig, and I'll come away. Well, rarely come away and think, oh, I played really well on that,
Oh
but
yeah. Yeah.
but
Likewise. Yeah.
it doesn't stick with me for very long because it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I played really well, but okay,
On to the next
and
one.
sort of thing, yeah. But yeah, the ones that stick with you,
Yeah.
it's made by the groups and the people, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's definitely what sticks.
Well, hopefully some of our Panto family from this year are watching. Hello, if you're watching.
Hello, guys.
Yeah,
Miss
probably won't
you.
be.
No, they will. We'll make them.
Yeah, we will force you to fucking, and then I will
Oh,
force you to come
absolutely.
on here.
Yes.
Yeah.
We will drag them kicking and screaming.
So for you, where does the love come from? I know you mentioned a bit already about growing up with jazz, but for you, where does it come from?
Um, I suppose that's a weirdly tricky question. Do you know, it's quite difficult to put a finger on exactly where. I just from there's a couple of crux moments, like the first time that I played a saxophone physically, like there was just something that I was just like, this is great. I really love this instrument.
Yeah,
And then I sort of was listening to a few bits and had a bit of jazz in my ear through my dad because he had a massively eclectic taste in music and you just go through everything, but then you suddenly hear everything else. You hear all the saxophone lines and the horn lines in Stevie Wonder tracks
yeah,
and all that kind of stuff, and you just zero in on it a bit more. But then sort of just coming to like what I would say sort of proper jazz. Someone's gonna hate that I said proper jazz, but just jazz in general and sort of it's just something about playing. Um, well, I mean jazz particularly, but just all music. It's when you get that vibe and
yeah.
that feel and I suppose you could say a groove, but it doesn't necessarily mean like funky kind of stuff or whatever. But like there's something just in me that when I hear like an upright bass just like properly swinging. There's just
Yeah.
I listen to that and I go, I do not understand how people can't love this. And I know people don't. I know people have eclectics. I
Yeah,
know people will say, why don't I love, gangster rap
yeah.
or stuff like that? But it's just I don't know. It's just something it's just something that's there. It's very
Because obviously
difficult
you're
to
listening to it in a different way than anybody like myself would do, or somebody else would listen to it. Yeah,
I think that's the thing. Yeah, once you have a little bit of knowledge with it, and you also know a bit more about what's good and what's not, as it were, it does help. But it's just that it's just a semi
Sammy.
natural semi. Yeah, easy, Tiger. Um, it's just it's a natural kind of almost like primal thing. I think it kicks off just something that it's like when you just hear any piece of music and it's suddenly just set something off in you that's like, oh my God, I love this, and it makes you just feel good. And I think being able to then play that as well is there's nothing quite like when you lock in with like a bunch of really good musicians
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
just it's just sat and you're just playing and everyone's it's and jazz is such a self-expressive thing. There's a lot of rules and there's a lot of do's and don'ts, but at the end of the day, you're playing from your soul, as kind
Yeah.
of cringy as that sounds. But it's just that outlet, and you can, when you've got all of you doing that, and you can feel each other. It's like suddenly having a really good bunch of mates and having a really,
Oh yeah.
full on banterous night out, and you're all just like locking in, and you just
Like Panto.
exactly, and you bond, and you kind of
Yeah.
it's then unspoken kind of like yeah. And I think that's the biggest part of it, and
Yeah.
just desperate to keep doing more of that really, and just keep pushing.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
Yeah. So why is live entertainment so important? Whether it be a music gig, whether it be Panto, what's so important about it to you?
um, I think it's just I think it's escapism as much as anything, and I know that you can get that through movies and TV and all that kind of stuff, but I just there's something about live music and like live anything and going and watching people creating at that time that you just don't get from digital media or anything like that as well. And you just need to, it's that in the moment, something is going to happen that is only going to happen at that moment
Yeah.
with anything that you go see. It's like it doesn't matter what way it is. Like coming to see your show in Leicester. That was there was s- some of that stuff wasn't going to happen anywhere else, or it just
Yeah,
happened at that moment, even though, I knew some of the material already, but the way it was presented, or
yeah.
it's that. And then even like I took my mum to see Alex Horn's horn
Oh,
section down in
nice.
Folkestone last year, and just that, and that was a great mix of like music and stuff. But a lot of it's scripted, but
Yeah, yeah.
there's again, it's just seeing it on stage in person. And the same with Panto, I kind of it was something that I'd maybe taken for granted a little bit before going and seeing it, and then going and the times when I wasn't playing, nipping out onto the upper circle and actually watching it, and just that energy of the crowd and everyone interacting, um, and just it it's it's very difficult to describe, but it's just something
Oh,
that
yeah.
just completely takes you. Oh, excuse me, just completely takes you away from everything. Like you've gone to that theatre or you've gone to that club, you've gone to this, you've taken yourself completely out of your home environment. And it is that complete escapism from normal
Oh,
life.
yeah.
The amount of shit that was going on over Christmas and the amount of shit that's still going on in the world as we speak, to just go and sit in that room with a bunch of other people and these actors or comedians or musicians or whatever and just forget about everything for that period of time. It's just something that I don't think everybody really. Well, it's not taken for granted, but I just don't think people really realise how important that is
Oh, yeah.
and how necessary it is and how different it is to, like you say, to go and see live than to just say, oh, I'll just go to the cinema or I'll just watch a movie on Netflix or something. That's not, you're still at home.
Yeah.
You're still just watching TV. It, it I think it's important because it helps remind people to live in the moment as well, which is something I need to take my own advice on more often than not. But you just, it's remembering that what is happening between you and the crowd and everything is that's happening right now. It's not going to happen in the same way again. And that's a wonderful thing to me.
Love that. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely. And seeing the look on people's faces during the show, especially the kids in Pantos, so yeah, that's
Mm,
undescribable, isn't it? It's
yeah.
just, yeah. Now, I mentioned previously that you performed at some gigs that and some venues you've always wanted to, but what if have you have you got any more like dream gigs or dream venues that you would like to do, whether it be panto or saxophone or band?
I mean, I suppose it'd be really great to do a main act performance at Ronnie Scott's under my own name would be
Yeah,
lovely with my own band and doing what I kind of properly want to play. I think is the kind of the bucket list thing from a jazz perspective. But yeah, aside from that, um, I mean, fingers crossed. I'll be doing Panto at the Marlow again this year, which would be great. Um, but that was up there as well.
yeah.
It's a theatre that obviously I live close by, and I've been to quite a lot. But to actually be involved in a production that was there, and
Have you
then
seen Panto there before you did before we worked together?
yes, not for a few years, but we used to go with my wife's family quite a lot
Yeah.
when the nephews were younger. So it's it's been something that's kind of like I don't know how to describe it. Not mysterious, but like oh,
Yeah.
it's big, it's important, and then to sort of get the opportunity to be involved with that, and then even when you are involved with it, I think realizing the level that the Pantos, that the Marlow and all of the other, particularly the Evo Pantos, operate at around the
We don't
country.
mention any other company.
No, no, that's the only panto company in the
Yeah.
country. Um, but like the quality and the level that it operates at, I think that's also lost, and it was something that was a little bit lost on me. I'll be honest. You kind
Yeah,
of think pantomime, or most people think pantomime. Oh, it's just it's a man in a dress and a few silly
yeah.
gags, and it's
Down
just
a
not a lot.
community village hall or something.
Yeah, exactly. Not a lot of production value. It's just people getting together and being silly. But like the level that everything operated at and was run at, and the performance levels, and just the sort of no, well, dedication, I suppose, but just the energy and the what it created
Yeah.
was something special, and kind of yeah, being a part of that. So doing that sort of thing again, whether it's at the Marlow or I wouldn't say there's any I'd be particularly desperate to do it in the West End or anything like that. It'd be nice to have on the CV,
Oh
but
yeah.
doing shows is something I didn't think I would necessarily want to do, but sort of coming out of this panto experience, I would definitely very much like to do it again. So,
So how did that
well,
all start for you then? How did you get involved in the panto? Because you said this was your first one that you've just done.
yeah. So it was kind of a who you know situation,
Yeah.
really. So I've known Chris Wong, who's the MD for the Marlow Panto, has been for the last 31 years. I've known him for a very long time, probably since I was 16, 17, so pushing 20 years.
Yeah.
And I think uh, when a fair while ago, but when I was a bit younger, there may possibly been the opportunity to have done it then. However, sort of financial circumstances meant that they changed the band a little bit, and it I ended up recording the tracks for the panto for 2 or 3 years, and then unfortunately that stopped as well. But basically, I think Mr. Hendy was quite keen on having. I've heard it said two ways. I've heard it called a glory instrument and also a shiny instrument. Uh,
You take either.
yeah, I'll take either. I've been called a lot worse, so it's fine. Um, just today, in fact. But yeah, so basically, Chris kind of just messaged me. Weirdly, it's one of those situations where he'd been on my mind. I was going to contact him about getting together and doing some playing, and he just messaged me out of the blue and said, "Do you fancy doing panto?" Um, to which I jumped at the opportunity, said yes, and
Absolutely.
yeah, and then the rest is history.
Yeah.
So
Well, very glad you did.
yes, me too, you and me both, matey, you and me both.
Yeah. I think, oh well, I mean, I think if they're watching, we must give the rest of your band a shout out. That was in the panto.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it was a phenomenal band, and I mean, from Chris as the MD, John, who was just phenomenal drummer. He's been doing the panto with Chris for a fair few years now, I think, as well. But Tom and Izzy, who were the two keys players, it was their first time doing it as well. Obviously, they both worked on other shows and have trained as MDs as well. But yeah, they were incredible, and it was just one of those, particularly the two of them, for Tom and Izzy, they were just it was as well as sort of musicians, they were just like problem solvers.
Yeah.
So rather than in previous times, I think this was something that helped Chris out. I mean, he can correct me if I'm speaking out of turn. But if you've got people that aren't as au fait with the technology and that side of stuff and patching and all those kind of things, then it makes it difficult when someone suddenly goes, can we have a foghorn there, or can we have this there,
Yeah.
or let's do that. But when anything was presented, literally either Tom or Izzy or both just went, yeah, I could do that, and then just did it, and it was incredible, and just, I mean, we all did that to some respect. I mean, I had my hits and misses with my bottom B flat over the course of the run, but it was presenting solutions rather than exacerbating problems, if that makes sense.
Yeah, oh,
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
which is a big weight off everybody. And yeah, it was just a great vibe, and we all got on really well, and it was just great, just good guys, and but musically and personally, and It's just a lot of
And we
fun.
had some adventures on nights out, didn't we?
We did, including some physical injuries, of which I was responsible for most of them, I think. But yes, it was just brilliant. It was just a brilliant experience.
Oh, if you know, you know. Nothing like an
Yeah.
inside joke on a show.
Yes. Yes, of
Yeah.
which there were many.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
So getting back on to the questions, if you could go back to when you first started and your younger self and give your younger self one bit of advice, what do you think it would be?
Oh, no, that's tough.
It's-
Uh, does it have to be about music?
Well, just any. Okay, no, it doesn't have to be.
No, I'm joking. Do you know, I think now it sounds really generic, but I would go and back and tell myself to work harder because there were certain periods that I maybe looking back now, I maybe didn't apply myself as much as I could have. Or use that word should. My therapist tells me not to use the word should. But yeah, uh, just I think it's just, but whether that would make a difference or not, I don't know. Because you always have people whispering in your ears to work hard and
Oh
practice.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I'd probably send myself back with a list of things to spend more time working on, and then hope when I came back to the future that I could suddenly do them. Whether or not that's how time travel works, Back to Back to the
We'll
Future
find
would
out
make.
together.
I know Back to the Future would make you believe that, but the Future Trunk Saga would not, however.
Yeah.
So there's another inside joke. You can have
Finally, a
that.
bit of culture on the show.
Oh, exactly. Honestly. Um, yeah, it's really basic and generic, but I don't think there's anything else apart from just to say just enjoy yourself, just enjoy it and make the most of when things happen. I mean, I like to think that I did, but there's certain times where, we probably could have
Of
just
course.
gone, yeah, just relax and
Yeah,
enjoy.
yeah,
Which is easier
yeah.
to say when you're 36 and you've had you've had a lot of life. Um, but and yeah, when you start running out of fucks to give, it's a lot easier retrospectively. But
I've had that
yeah,
years ago.
no, I still give out too many. I'm probably in debt now. Hmm.
So, if someone wanted to get into this industry and wanted to do well, what's the main bit of advice you would give to them?
Oh,
Would it be
crikey.
similar to what you give to yourself, or?
I think so. I mean, there's a part of me that would want to say, don't do it. I think, do you know what? I think it's more difficult now than it's ever been. I
Yeah,
think there's so much oversaturation in all industries and technology and social media and stuff like that makes it so difficult to be
can you
different
put
and to
postcode on
stand
there,
out
please, George? Pet insurance.
and all
George?
that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's kind of Ah, I think yeah, it probably would be the same stuff. It's just work hard, but just
Yeah,
enjoy it
yeah,
because
enjoy it.
that's what's important. You're doing it to entertain other people. Yes, that's a big part of it. But if you don't like doing it, then don't do it.
Yeah, of course, yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you've got to enjoy what you're doing and
Oh,
do
absolutely.
what's right for you. So it
Yeah.
be you know be selective to a degree, which is
Yeah.
easier again when you're older.
So what's next for you? Have you got any gigs coming up? Any big jobs? So what's next?
Um, well, it's kind of just settling back into the normal run of things throughout the year, really. It, it usually boils down to at least sort of a couple of gigs a week, doing various things, whether it's pubs or clubs or and obviously as the summer and spring kicks off, we go into wedding season. So sort of two or three of the bands that I'm involved with get really busy and Um, we've been getting steadily busier, well, let's say since COVID, which seems like a long time ago now, but it's still crazy to think it's still, picking up from there.
And
But
that's mental, yeah. I think they're still recovering.
I know, it's just crazy. But there's always obstacles.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, so just that, and it's just just taking what comes in and going out chasing bits and bobs. As I said, fingers crossed. I've got Panto in the diary for this year as well. So that's something I'm already looking forward to,
Yeah.
even though it won't be with you this time, which is devastating.
Uh,
But I'll have to make
you
some
don't have to say with
other.
a big smile on your face.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I'm absolutely devastated and mortified. Um, but no, it's yeah, it's kind of that. It's taking it week to week and month
Yeah.
by month, and there are busy
I've got, yeah,
spells,
absolutely.
and just taking what comes. Nothing in terms of that calendar which sort of stands out
No.
as a big thing. I've got a few, let's say, local jazz gigs booked in as me, sort of my band and playing
Yeah.
what I want to play, which I always look forward to, which is good. But yeah, apart from that, it's just the
Because I
usual
suppose for
stuff.
you, did like Panto work start soon with the music, or is it, or are you not involved in that side of it? You just live.
Yeah, just sort of turn up on the band call and crack on really. But
Yeah.
yeah, the Chris does all of that kind of work. I think he says he normally starts sort of June, July time-ish and starts arranging stuff, if not before. Um, so yeah, I mean, we're quite lucky in that respect. It's a little bit edgy 'cause sometimes I like to be prepared for things.
Of course,
So
yeah.
if I've got gigs with, well, I'm depping with a band that I've never played with before, then I like to put in, sort of at least a week's kind of prep of tunes and what their set list is and that kind of stuff. So there was a point where I was hassling Chris a little bit for to see if I could get any charts beforehand and whether there was going to be any flute or clarinet or anything like that. Um, and I basically didn't get anything until the band call. And a couple of days before that, there was going to be some clarinet, so I hastily started practicing that misery stick. But
Stick.
yeah, yeah. So don't get me wrong, like it's a phenomenal instrument, and when it's played really well, it's amazing. But I don't play it really well. I play it
Are you more
enough.
like Squidward on SpongeBob playing it?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, Izzy made that reference quite a lot, and I didn't understand it to begin with. I'll hold my hand up and say I'm not a SpongeBob person, but
You're old.
yes, exactly. Mine was Power Rangers and Pokemon on a Saturday morning.
Don't worry, Izzy, I got the reference if you're watching. I understood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and for people who are watching, if you haven't been to the Marlow Theatre or the Marlow Panto, go and see it. It's a beautiful theatre.
Yeah.
It's an absolute phenomenal theatre. And Ben Roddy will be with you there again with you, who's just an absolutely amazing person. I hope to get him on the show one day. He's one of the greats. And Phil Gallagher as well, is hopefully going to be there as well, two of the most amazing people. So if you can go and see the Panto, absolutely please go to it. It's Peter Pan next Christmas. So but finally, where can people find you? Like on social media, what you want? As I said, we've already talked about upcoming gigs. So, but where can people find you?
Yeah, social media. I'm on Facebook as just Nick Browne, Brown with an E, obviously, because I'm super special. But I suppose my main it's mostly Instagram where I keep most sort of up to date with gigs and post a lot of videos and reels of when we're on gigs and try and keep my social media presence up. I think I am. What is my? Oh yeah, I'm at Brown Noise. So that is yes, I know. I've been waiting to use that for years, but it's Brown with an E underscore noise, which is me, Nick Brown saxophone. And yeah, I try and keep all my sort of upcoming gigs up to date on there, and then just keep everyone up to date with what we're doing. Usually a few videos of us messing about with some of the bands on there. And there might be a few post Panto videos on there as well that you can look back on too. But yeah,
Including one with about the stairwell concert he used to do. So, do you want to quickly say about
yes, there are 3 or 4 videos. So to make it's a kind of, again a long story short, I suppose the stairwell just outside the corridor where I was set up had terrific reverb. So basically for an acoustic instrument like a saxophone, it just absolutely sang in that space. So I tried to get into a habit of sort of recording some videos playing in the hallway just to have that reverb and posted them a few times. I should have done some more, and I will do it more this year. I'll make sure that I'm out there sort of once a week at least. But it was just
I
like
know
some
there's one
nice.
that you haven't uploaded.
Well, there's one where you shouted at the end because you shouted up the stairs and basically told me to shut up, I think. But yeah, I'll pop that one up as a special unreleased deleted scene. But yeah, I would definitely do some more of those because they seem to go down quite well. There's just some
Yeah,
nice standards and stuff, and a few movie theme tunes and stuff that
absolutely.
certainly Friends would have got. Perhaps I'll sneak some Dragon Ball Z in for you next
Oh,
time.
good. You better fucking do. Well, Nick, thank you so much for coming on this show. I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe, which I forgot to mention at the end of the first episode, which I recorded yesterday, which should hopefully come out yesterday by the time you're watching this. I don't know who I'm going to have on next. A few people want to do it. I need to get in touch with them. But hopefully there'll be more episodes later. Please go and follow Nick on all his Instagrams and find out where he's gigging. Go and support him. Thank you so much for watching. I've been George Coppin. See you next time.